Can you make a great computer with parts mostly found on Craigslist? Well, let's find out. It had been a while since I'd seriously cruised Craigslist when I saw this guy. Case, CPU, 8 gigs of RAM, Asus Rampage motherboard. Cool. Looks a little old, but hey, it wasn't much money. It needed a power supply, graphics card, and disk drive. Those I got. It also needs a name. I'm gonna call this puppy the Krager. Check it out. Big honking heatsink included. And fully populated with RAM. Cool. And it stinks of cigarette smoke. We'll start by blowing this puppy out and wiping it down. For all of your dust-busting needs, you need one of these guys. Checking the motherboard manual. You do download the manuals, right? Always check out the fine manual. I discovered I needed a heftier power supply than the one I had. Along with needing a beefier power supply, a quick look at the features, and this seems like one serious motherboard from back in the day in 2008. The motherboard needed an 8-pin connector, and the power supply I had only had a 4-pin. So I go loot one of the other computers I'm working on for this guy. A Corsair CX550, which I got a while ago on sale. It is slated for another project, but that project doesn't need 550 watts. It can be on hold at the moment. I just wanted to see this puppy boot. And for a video card, I'll take the one originally that was in the Dell XPS 410. Holy cow! A quad-core CPU? Awesome! Yeah, it's an old one, a Q9400, but still, quad cores. I'm a cheap date, and it's got 8 gigs of memory. Cool. But now that we know that it's good, it needs its own power supply and graphics card. Locally, Craigslist is pretty dry, so it was a while before I found this puppy, a Seasonic 850-watt bronze power supply. 850 watts is more than what I need, but the price was right. If you're going to go overboard, you might as well go whole hog. Who knows? Maybe I'll put in a real power-hungry graphics card instead of the power-sipping boards I normally use. But the rather large heatsink, we'll need to pull that out of the way before we can put the power supply in. And wouldn't you know it, there was a problem. It seems the former owner tightened the heatsink screws until they broke the mounting nuts from the plastic bracket. The plastic was cracked, and I wasn't able to remove the heatsink without breaking the bracket. Oh well. Finding a metal CPU bracket for the old heatsink solved that problem. It's nice and strong now. However, the motherboard control doesn't work with the fan, and it sounds like a jet engine. This will not do. Fortunately, I had this GMAX 400 handy. I bought it on sale to upgrade one of my other machines. It came highly recommended on Tom's Hardware, but I don't really care for the plastic push-in mountings. They seem a bit flimsy to me. The nice thing about the 400 is that it has mounting brackets for both AMD sockets and a range of Intel sockets. The GMAX is a little smaller overall, but with the copper heat pipes, it should work well, if not better. I don't plan on overclocking, so I'm not worried too much about the CPU getting too hot. The heatsink fan was a little tricky to get on, and the push-pin holders were cranky and fiddly. It was a pain to install, but it runs nice and quiet. Unfortunately, both heatsinks were too big for the original case. It just wouldn't close properly. So, it's time for a new case. Since Craigslist was dry, I found this on Amazon on sale. This Thermaltake is a budget case, but it's a little bit wider than the original, so it should work just fine. It's got some nice features like mesh air filters and easy mount drive bays, but the fit and finish just screams budget. The drives are mounted backwards with the power and SATA connectors on the other side of the case. Otherwise, the side of the case won't fit. So how about a graphics card? I found this puppy on Craigslist, an EVGA GTX 660. It'll suck up more power than I normally like, but I've got a hefty power supply, so it shouldn't be a problem. We'll put it in and watch it boot. Or not. It just sat there. No fans, no beeps, just a few LEDs glowed. Did I just get hosed? Just to make sure the computer was okay, I put in the video card rescued from the Systemax, the GT9500, and it booted up just fine. Let's try a different computer system. I popped the GTX 660 into the Dell 410. I recently swapped out the 450 watt EVGA power supply for 700 watt EVGA power supply that had gone on sale, so I had plenty of power. Not a lot of ventilation there with the GPU fan being blocked, and it boots just fine. So the video card is good. Maybe the Seasonic power supply is malfunctioning? I got out my multimeter and checked the voltages coming out of the two PCIe cables. One was 12 volts, but the other was negative 12 volts? That's not right. Hold on. The cable with the negative 12 volts doesn't quite match the rest of the others. The former owner told me that he had switched the power supply for a different one. Perhaps he got the cables mixed up when he sold me the power supply? I got rid of the cable, put the GTX 660 back into the Krager, and we got fans, lights, and video happiness. Then I had to pull the graphics card out because the BIOS battery decided to give up the ghost. And where is it located? Under the graphics card! The motherboard doesn't come with integrated audio. It originally shipped with an external sound card. Since mine didn't come with one, I found one on eBay because, you know, audio. Supreme FX audio at that. And here it is all together at last. Perhaps now we'll get Craigination. So with an SSD and a hard drive scavenged from some other builds, we need an operating system. Not this one. How about this one? To be honest, I really want to like Mint, but there are still things about it that irritate me. It needs to mature a bit. Let's try Pop! OS. All the gamers seem to like it. Ew, it uses Icky GNOME. I played with it for a while, but I really don't like it. But Xubuntu is nice and lean and clean and easy to use. But can it game? Well, yes. Install Steam. It's in the software store. Go to Settings, Steam Play, and check Enable Steam Play for both supported games and all other titles. That way you can play both Linux and Windows games. I selected Proton because that's the default. I'm not a big gamer, but I know about Torchlight, kill monsters, collect treasure, complete missions. Since it's not a first-person shooter, it won't make me dizzy. I downloaded the demo, and it works fairly well. And it's a Windows game. I haven't tried any of the newer games, but I've heard of people getting good results with Proton, but usually with more modern hardware. So can you build a computer with parts found only on Craigslist? The answer is, maybe. It depends on your location. In my case, eBay and sales items rounded out the build. Was it cost effective? Only if you're lucky. To be honest, cost-wise, I might have been better off buying a used PC from a reputable dealer, even an old desktop, and upgraded it. But it was an adventure, and sometimes adventures are a bit of a slog. But in the end, I have an older but perfectly working system. Thanks for watching. Learn from my mistakes so you don't make them. And remember to stay curious.